Today we are making a Filet-O-Fish like McDonald's but vegan and better. And I've made this a few years back on this channel and in my cookbook as well, but today we're going to tweak those recipes to make it even better, so let's get it going. And instead of fish, we're going to use tofu, and you can use either super firm tofu straight out of the package, or you can get extra firm and press it for about 30 minutes. For an even better texture, you can freeze and thaw it and then press it. This process gives the tofu a meatier texture, and I highly recommend it if you can. Either way, we are going to make a fishy marinade for the tofu, and in the past I would just flavor the breading, but I wanted to infuse the tofu itself with some flavor. So to do that, let's get 1 cup of veggie broth and then get a nori sheet, chop it up, and add 1 to 2 tablespoons worth of that. Next, we'll do 1 tablespoon of miso paste, 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast, 1 teaspoon fresh dill, 1 teaspoon of kelp granules. If you can't find this, just use more nori and nutritional yeast, and then 1 teaspoon caper brine, and lastly, 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar. Whisk that up, and that is our fishy marinade. Next, for our tofu, if you froze and thawed yours, make sure you still press it to get rid of that excess liquid. And then we just need to cut these into fillets. I like to slice them no bigger than ½ an inch thick. If you freeze your tofu, be mindful that it might be kind of delicate, so don't slice it too thin or it might fall apart on you. And you can trim off the sides to make it square and use the scraps as fish sticks to test out the breading, but more on that later. But once our fillets are sliced up, let's get something like some chopsticks, and then we're going to score the top like so. And you don't want to cut all the way, so definitely use something like chopsticks as a guide. And scoring the tofu is going to do 2 things. First, it will allow the marinade to soak into the tofu better, and we're also going to get some of that flaky fish texture as well. And then once our tofu fillets are scored, we're going to add them to some Tupperware and then pour over our fishy broth. And we're going to let that marinate for at least an hour or up to overnight while you sleep. Speaking of sleeping, that's exactly what I've been doing on my new Bear bed, which is today's sponsor. Bear mattresses are designed to upgrade your sleep, improve your lifestyle and overall quality of life, and it's conveniently shipped to your door. And everybody has different preferences and sleep positions. To help find the mattress suitable for you, Bear has made a sleep quiz that will remove all the guesswork. Both my wife and I are side sleepers, and we prefer a medium firm bed, and we've had our new mattress for a few weeks now, and we totally love it. I've been getting some of the best sleep that I can remember, and I've had more energy. Bear also delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. The mattress comes rolled up in a box, and it's super easy and fun to set up yourself. And if buying something that you haven't tried makes you nervous, well, fear not. Bear has a 120-night sleep trial, so you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love it. Plus, Bear mattresses have a lifetime warranty, and they even offer financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is never far away. So thanks, Bear Mattress, for sponsoring this video. Go ahead and visit bearmattress.com/TBD to get 30% off your new mattress with code TBD. And now that we're all nice and rested, the next day we can take our fillets out, and we're going to want to pat them dry like so, and let those hang out, and let's whip up a quick and delicious vegan tartar sauce. Let's start with 1 cup of vegan mayo, 2 tablespoons of dill relish, 1 tablespoon of chopped capers, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 to 2 tablespoons of fresh dill weed, 1 tablespoon of chopped chives, and then 2 cloves of minced garlic, and some black pepper and salt to taste. Whisk that up, and that is your amazingly delicious vegan tartar sauce. And now to bread our tofu fillets, we're going to do a classic dry and wet dredge, and then a dunk in some breadcrumbs, and then repeat the wet and breadcrumbs to double dredge. Only we aren't using breadcrumbs but oyster crackers, which is the superior way in my opinion. So all we need to do is grind up the oyster crackers, and I like to go relatively fine on these. I find it gives me the perfect breading this way. And now for the dry dredge, let's get a 1/4 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and then ½ a teaspoon of garlic and onion powder. And if you have some Old Bay, this is a great time to use it. Otherwise, just use a few pinches of salt to taste. Whisk that up, and now for our wet dredge, we're going to get 2/3 cup of unsweetened plant milk, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and 2 tablespoons of flour. Whisk that up, and it should be relatively thick. If not, add a bit more flour. Lastly, add about 1 to 1½ cups of ground up crackers to a 1/3 dish, and feel free to add any seasonings, but these were tasting good as is. And then next we're going to fill up a heavy bottom pot or Dutch oven with enough neutral oil to cover the tofu fillets. And if you want to know if you can air fry or bake these, the answer is yes. Directions on the blog post for that. Now we're going to heat the oil up to 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, and while the oil gets to temp, we can bread our fillets. So we're just going to dredge first in the flour mixture, making sure to coat thoroughly and shaking off the excess. Then we're going to go next into the wet, letting the excess drip off if needed, and then into the cracker or breadcrumb mixture. Gently press the breadcrumbs into the filet, and then if you want a thicker breading, dunk it back into the wet and then back into the breadcrumbs for a double dredge. Now, to test out the seasoning and to see if you want to double dredge or not, I suggest frying up a couple of the scraps as fish sticks, and these were super good, so I knew my breading was ready for the fillets. So I went ahead and fried them up, making sure to drop them away from me so as not to splash hot oil all over myself. And yes, you can totally shallow fry these as well, though it will take a bit longer. But for deep frying, we basically just need to fry this for a few minutes until golden brown and looking something like that. I mean, come on, that is looking good enough to eat. But first, let them rest on a wire rack and hit them with a little salt. Next, we gotta toast our buns. Always toast your buns. And for the melted cheese, McDonald's famously uses a half piece of cheese for some weird reason, but we're gonna remedy that by using a whole piece. And to melt it, I like to do this little trick where I squirt some water on a hot pan. I'm gonna add my slice of cheese and let it sizzle for like 10 seconds or less, and then scoop it up with a spatula. And I'll be the first to admit this does take a little practice, but the results are worth it in my opinion. It's the best and fastest way to melt vegan cheese when you're not doing so on top of a burger patty. But once you get your melted vegan cheese on a bun, add your Filet-O-Fish and of course as much tartar sauce as your tartar sauce loving heart desires, and then your top bun, and now it's time to dig in. And I gotta say, this is the best vegan Filet-O-Fish I've ever had, and it's streets ahead of anything McDonald's has made. I mean, the tofu filet is slightly fishy but not overpowering, the breading is crunchy and perfectly seasoned, and then you have that zip-zappin' tartar sauce rounding everything out. It really is a pretty perfect sandwich. So I highly recommend you give this one a try, and if you want to make some other vegan seafood recipes, check out this playlist I got right here, and until then, I'll see you all next time.